because we've seen the rise of numerous individuals and factions that claim legitimacy to causes political goals, economic goals, and this legitimacy is actually sort of like controversial because a lot of individuals feel antagonized, feel that their existence is threatened within states. We think basically that the fact that we have the multiplicity and preponderance of terrorist organizations and the conflation of terrorist ideologies with extremist groups, supposedly extremist groups, people that try to fight for legitimate causes that majority groups do not accede to, actually has created imperatives for us to be distinctive in our characterization and our classification of the goals and objectives of these groups. Ladies and gentlemen, historically, some of the states have actually faltered and yielded to the pressures of the vindictiveness of their individuals in mischaracterizing these groups so that they can achieve artificial closure. And we think this has misrepresented vulnerable groups, minorities, and we feel basically it has endangered the international community. But more importantly, where states have tried to demonstrate objectivity in their characterization, the demonstration of their objectivity has oftentimes sort of like created an indifference on the international community to supervise their responsibilities and their responses to these states. So we give you two more characterizations. We tell you basically because of the nature of the tipping point that we have, where a lot of vulnerable groups that oppose the state are seen as extremists, are seen as fundamentalists, and being clamped down and being deprived of their rights to assembly and their rights to life, there is an imperative for international community to take this mandate. Secondly, we feel basically, and this has been missing in this debate, DJ, the characterization of these particular groups actually inform state policies and state responses to them, all right? So we think it is important. Why has it been important and why is it important? Firstly, we think basically where these individuals are mischaracterized, it places a huge cost on some of their individual liberties, right? A huge cost on their rights to assembly, a huge cost on their legitimacy to actually fight for their goals and their rights to life. But more importantly, it places a huge cost on the credibility of the states that even that mischaracterize these things. So when we extend this policy to only international communities, we are protecting these states from the possibilities of sort of like publicly antagonizing their images within the international community, and that's what they failed to realize in the opening opposition. Two responses to the entire opening opposition. Firstly, they talked about sovereignty. We feel basically the sovereignty of states is not implicit in their ability to characterize local groups, all right? Sovereignty of states is implicit in their ability to actually act on these local groups. We feel when international communities have the responsibility to characterize local groups, it does not take away the sovereignty of these states because it simply informs these states on how to act and how to respond. But then, most importantly, these states pioneer and champion these responses. They articulate these policies, and they are not in any way deprived of the resources to act. So that argument of sovereignty fails. They talk about imperialism, but imperialism, even if international organizations can be imperialistic when they label these groups, we feel basically it is in the interest of the global community and the interest of the local states where fundamentalist groups are significantly distinguished and differentiated from extremist groups that are fighting for legitimate causes. So where we feel that particular imperialism is beneficial, we don't regret it. So from the closing opposition, closing comment, we give you two arguments: the implicit vulnerability of these groups, and this has been missing in this debate. Mr. Chair, firstly, we think basically when the Russian government characterized the Jehovah's Witnesses as extremists, right, we feel basically that the victims of that characterization were these Jehovah's Witnesses, right? So it means, ladies and gentlemen, that these extremist groups, or the groups that are subject to characterization, suffer the worst from this decision. So that is why there is an imperative to act. They are implicitly vulnerable. Why? Firstly, there is these individuals perpetrate ideologies that are on the minority spectrum. Yeah. This is very, very key because these individuals use the culture of dissent to push narratives that actually that threaten or sort of like that trigger the majority. So because they are on the minority spectrum, they are implicitly vulnerable. But more importantly, we think that they lack popular buy-in, and we think that because they lack popular buy-in, they usually have claims to controversial issues and closures that these states are under pressure to deny them, even if these claims are legitimate. That is why states can never be objective, and even if they're objective, because of the legitimacy of the states can never actually be objective. So we think basically that these individuals lack the popular buy-in, and because they have sometimes legitimate claims, but these legitimate claims trigger the majority. So these individuals suffer the wrongest decisions from the states. That is why we need to characterize. But more importantly, the characterization is critical to the response of these states. This is key. Why? Because these individuals usually use fragile instruments to propagate their ideologies, and that is why they are the subject of this debate, the vulnerable groups. What are these fragile instruments? They are susceptible to misrepresentation, as we've seen in the status quo, where a lot of them, the revolutionary armed forces of Colombia were misrepresented, and some of them were fought against. The Irish Republican Army were misrepresented. misrepresented. A lot of these individuals have been historically misrepresented, and it leads to huge costs on their rights to assembly and rights to property, right? So we feel basically the fragility of their instrument, they lack media control, they lack political voice and representation. So that means that states should not have the exclusive ability to characterize them, because states, where states actually have the positional flexibility of oppression, states will oftentimes override their objectivity in order to achieve interests that they feel are in the state's interest. Okay, let me take it.
So imagine international bodies were the ones who classified Jehovah's Witnesses, and imagine conflicts resulted at the end. Who would be able to mediate and stand in for the minority?
But the reality is that international bodies would never classify Jehovah's Witnesses as the extremists, alright? So, but chill, listen, I'm coming to that. The stake of the international community. One, where international communities have the exclusive ability to classify and characterize these extremist groups that supposedly threaten the state according to state perception, we feel that gives them the implicit responsibility to supervise state responses. Where international communities say, hey, these guys are extremist groups, and they've seen that locally these states do not accept, these guys are not extremist groups, and they've seen that locally these states accept them as extremist groups, the international community will be aware of the intentions that exist. But because they were the ones to actually defend the ideologies that actually oppose the majority perception of them, the international communities will have an implicit obligation to supervise state responses, to make sure that states do not clamp down on these people, to make sure that these individuals' rights and liberties can be established. But where states have this responsibility, we do not see these implicit obligations on the international community. Secondly, the incentive to be fair and objective means that the credibility of the international community as human rights protectors and the regulation of state policies will be undermined where international communities can actually take contradictory views with states. So that's why we are limiting it to the international community, because they have objectives to be fair, they have credibility as human rights protectors to protect. But more importantly, we feel they have a stronger obligation to support states and antagonize volatile groups when they have the sole responsibility to protect these individuals. Finally, even when states can be objectives, Mr. Chair, legitimacy stands furthering. Even when states can make objective characterizations, we feel international communities should have this decision. Why? Firstly, we think the individuals within states are spontaneously vindictive. Most of these groups we've said occupy the minority spectrum. So because they occupy the minority spectrum, the majority often form opinions that form conventions that pressurize the states to make wrong decisions about them. Even when states make the right decisions, states will want to appease the majority and often victimize these individuals. So we feel the international community stands in a better position to protect these volatile groups, these vulnerable groups from the vindictiveness and oppression of the state. We beg.
Thank you very much.